Well, welcome to The Topic Is Yours. Thank you for joining us this week. We've got David Harden on here. David Harden is a great guy, and he talks to us a little bit about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is something I know very little about, but I know a lot more about it now that I've actually listened to the episode, so you should too. What we do is we try and keep it high level, so regardless of your expertise, I think you'll find this very accessible, very enjoyable. So Clint, go ahead and roll it.
Yeah, I will roll it. Hey, everybody, be sure you listen to the mailbag because Dave gets into it. The dude has some secrets. It's going to be so good. Okay, I'll roll it now. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, welcome to The Topic Is Yours. Thank you for joining us again this week. Got another good guest. His name is David Harden. Before I get to him, I'm going to tell you, subscribe to us on iTunes. Check us out on Twitter at The Topic Is Yours. Facebook.com/The Topic Is Yours podcast. As always, on our website, thetopicisyours.com. You can send us mailbag questions, subscribe to the podcast, stream past episodes, become a sponsor, and just sort of interact with the show. And if you haven't been there yet, it's a lot of fun. We also like to put on there resources that the guests that we talk to that they want you to see, that they want you to look at. We put that on the website as well, so check it out. Today we've got another good guest. His name is David Harden. He's a tech guy. And you know, if you've listened to any of our episodes, we like to get a wide range of topics in here. We had Blake and the Rise of the Robots, episode number 3. If you haven't checked that out, be sure and do so after this one. We talked a little bit about AI, artificial intelligence, self-driving cars, data, the importance of that. So we like tech. We like tech a lot. So, and Dave likes tech as well. So, but he goes by David. I'll call you David from now on, okay, Mr. Harden?
Sure.
Okay, good. David, you're new to the show. Thanks for being here, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, you betcha. All right, so what we like to do, Clint, is our custom here. He starts things off with a lightning round. Clint, what's going on, dude?
Yeah, David, thanks for being here. So let's start this thing off. What have you done that few other people have?
Ooh, I've day traded currency pairs for a living.
Okay, that sounds pretty obscure.
Okay,
Yes.
what's that mean, dude?
Yes. On any given day, like the U.S. dollar is worth a different amount than the British pound. And so if it goes one way, you buy it. If it goes the other way, you sell it. Hopefully you make a profit.
Buy low, sell high. I love it.
I like it a lot.
Okay, you passed question 1. Number 2 is recently we had for those uninitiated, we had Jason at the movies. He's a movie reviewer. He was talking about, was he at the Critics' Choice Awards?
Yeah.
The dude was noticed across the room by Jessica Alba. She came over.
No. Jessica Biel.
Biel.
Yeah.
Better.
I was going to say, let's get that
I'm
right.
sorry.
That's
Whoa.
an important detail. Jason would be mad at us if we screwed that up.
Sorry, Jason. Okay, we're getting this right here. Which celebrity would you like to notice your bow tie?
Ooh. I don't know. Scarlett Johansson. She has a great voice. If you've ever seen The Jungle Book when she's the giant snake, it is fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. So she just talked to you?
She just talked, yeah. Because that's all that would happen.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously. Good answer. Good answer. Good celebrity.
Good celebrity. Okay, and then lastly, a couple weeks ago we had Will Arnett on. Not that Will Arnett, but another Will Arnett.
The real Will Arnett.
The local Will Arnett. He was on talking about depression. What's the most depressing thing you saw this week?
Whoa.
Ooh, probably the destruction of the Caribbean.
Okay.
To be quite honest,
We shouldn't laugh at that, should we?
there was one of the islands, 95% of the buildings were destroyed,
I mean, can you believe that?
and they evacuated more than 25% of Florida yesterday.
No, I heard it was even more than that. I fear that there's ghost towns.
Yeah.
literally down there.
Yeah. They're expecting a 5 to 12-foot storm surge.
Yeah.
Which is some serious business.
It sure is.
Yeah.
I was hearing this morning on cable TV. I won't say the network.
Fox.
No, it was not that one. It was not that one. So the storm surge, it goes in at 10 to 12 feet, but then which is devastating. But then it also recedes at pretty much the same volume in which it goes in.
Exactly.
That's brutal. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen the movie? What's the movie? This isn't a good start, but it was with Ewan McGregor and Naomi Watts.
Was that the one about the tsunami?
Yeah.
No, I saw enough of like the actual YouTube videos. I had no desire to see Hollywood's version because it was already terrible.
It was bad. Like I bawled like a little baby.
Oh,
it was brutal. Clint's laughing. Clint has no soul. But if he saw it, he would bawl.
I saw the trailer for it, and there's like kids diving in the pool, and you're like, they're dead.
Oh gosh,
you know, no, it's like I have no desire to watch
the debris that they showed. I mean, it's like you're talking about light pole. I mean, it's brutal. Just going with Anyway, we're getting off track here, but that's a bad one. That's a bad one. Mm-hmm. So, thoughts and prayers out to Florida and anybody else in the path of that storm. Was that question 3?
That was 3. Let's end this lightning round quickly.
Wow, Dave and I were having a good time here.
I know, man.
Okay, thoughts and prayers from everybody but Clint to those in the path of Irma and Jose and whoever's next. All right, David, thank you again for being here. So we wanted to have you on, and when I asked you what you wanted to talk about, you mentioned Bitcoin, and I thought that was really interesting because I know nothing about Bitcoin other than a bunch of my friends a few years ago were like, man, I could have got in on Bitcoin for like 2 cents or something, and now it's worth X amount. Man, I should have done that. I'm like, oh, great. What is Bitcoin? I've got a thing here called a dollar. So, Dave, what is Bitcoin, and why are people talking about it?
It is a virtual currency that is mostly untraceable.
Yeah, I could see the appeal in that.
Yeah, and it's in the past, it's been very volatile, so the value's gone up and down pretty rapidly, so it's been good for people who are speculating.
Okay.
So if they're trading it in any kind of market, they can make a little money on it. And anyone can have a chance at making their own Bitcoin using their computer or a server or some specialized equipment.
No, wait. How do you make money? How do you make money? I mean, I understand they're earning money, but how do you physically make money with a computer? That's bizarre. Come on now.
It is bizarre. And you have to use specialized equipment now. It used to be you could just use your CPU, just like your regular computer, or then it moved to like some fancy video cards, and people would hook up, 8 or 12 of them to like one system. And then it's just increased from there, where now there's just racks and racks of specialized servers with special chips that basically just plug through this software and try to figure out a problem. And when they find the answer, they earn Bitcoin.
So 2 + 2, and I get a Bitcoin?
Almost, yeah.
Come on, tell me seriously. What are we talking about here?
They're hugely complicated algorithms. I don't know the technical aspect of it, but I know that the difficulty increases over time, and so the cost of time and equipment goes up.
Okay.
Over as things go further.
Okay, so do these people, these organizations or whatever, they've got these mass resources, they farm or mine Bitcoins. Do they hoard them? Do they sell them? Or do they buy drugs with them? Come on. Clint's curious about the last part.
Come on, David.
So people use them for all kinds of things. Some of the larger retailers are actually accepting them now. I believe Tesla will accept Bitcoin now.
Okay.
I think it might be an option on Amazon. They've been kind of back and forth on it.
Okay.
Maybe Walmart online, if I remember correctly.
It's like about my groceries with Bitcoin?
So I think technically, yes. But, part of the issue that some of the federal authorities have with Bitcoin is that it's A, mostly untraceable, and B, you can use it online to buy just about anything. So you can buy drugs or other illicit materials or all kinds of stuff.
So it could be pretty nefarious and hard to trace.
Exactly.
So that's why the bad guys like it.
Yes.
But that's not any different than fiat, right? Because you can use dollar bills for...
What's a fiat? That's a car.
Fiat currency.
Come on, man. You're talking to me here, right?
What I'm saying is that Bitcoin's not any different than dollar bills, because you can also use dollar bills for any purpose, right?
Dollar bills are no longer backed by gold.
Right, but I'm saying you can exchange the dollar bills for Just because you have money in your hand doesn't mean you're going to use it for a good purpose. You can still use those for illicit purposes.
True. And part of the difficulty of entering the Bitcoin world is not getting some, but exchanging it for something else.
Yeah. So nobody takes it. Well,
it is difficult. And so you have to deal with people who deal with Bitcoin. So, I will trade this Bitcoin for those services or those goods.
Okay, so other than the fact that it's untraceable and then you can just buy a big supercomputer and earn your own money, I mean, is that it? Is that why people love Bitcoin, or what am I missing here? Is there something else?
It is, let me see the best way to phrase this, is that when there's a transaction, there's a record of it that is anonymous and infallible.
Infallible how?
So a Bitcoin is created from something called the blockchain, which is a really long file that encodes all of the previous transactions, and it encodes the math problem that has to be solved in order to generate the next Bitcoin.
Okay, so this blockchain, was this made by a person? Is this continually updated by a series of computers? Talk to me.
Every computer that uses the Bitcoin has to update this file regularly every time a Bitcoin is generated. And everybody uses the same file at the same time.
But did somebody come up with Bitcoin and say, I'm going to do this and change the world, or what?
Yes. So many years ago, there was a guy, and we may or may not know his name or know who exactly it was. But
it's anonymous, and
it's kind of anonymous.
He kind of like Bitcoin.
He submitted this paper as a peer-to-peer currency, and he named it Bitcoin. He said, this is how it works. These are the formulas behind it. This is how you get it set up. And here's where I set up the first part of it. And people were like, well, that's cool. And so people started doing it. And it wasn't worth a whole lot at first. It was, fractions of a cent. When I first heard of it, it was about like 10 or 12 cents per Bitcoin. Still kicking myself for not buying it. They're worth north of $2,000 a piece now.
Jeez.
Yeah. So if I would have spent $50 when it was 10 cents, I'd have $1 million now.
Yeah.
So I don't have $1 million.
Well, don't you worry, David. I'm sure your ship's coming in, okay? All right, David, thank you very much so far. We're going to take a break, and we'll come right back with more Bitcoin talk. Very exciting. Stick with us.
Thank you for listening to the Topic is Yours podcast. If you've been enjoying the show, please take a moment to rate us and also subscribe so that you can stay up to date with the shows. And be sure to check out thetopicisyours.com for past episodes, additional content, sweet merch, and to suggest a guest to be interviewed. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. David, thank you for being here. All right, speaking of Bitcoin, why should people use it, or why should they not use it? Elaborate, please.
Most people should not use it. And I say that because it's really complicated. It's kind of a new thing, and it's not for everybody. It's a risk. You would be risking your money in an environment that is not regulated. It's not set in stone, and you never know if you can get your money out of it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend it for the average person yet.
Okay. So who's a good candidate for the Bitcoin market?
For anyone who is wanting to have any kind of transaction that is completely anonymous, for anyone who wants to store large sums of money anonymously. I realize that I'm describing like drug dealers.
Yes, you are.
Which really like Bitcoin because they can move money around the world pretty easily. It's a good way to launder money if you're looking to,
Well, this feeds perfectly into my stereotype because when I hear people talk about Bitcoin, I'm like, what are you up to, man? What are you up to? Why are you into this? You use a card. I got a debit card right here. It works fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So some of the positives of Bitcoin are that it is it's not traceable, but it is every transaction is monitored and not monitored. Every transaction is kept track of. So anytime anyone buys a Bitcoin, spends a Bitcoin, or creates a Bitcoin, it is kept all in the same ledger.
Okay, where's that? Can people access that ledger? I mean, what's the deal there?
Yes.
Okay.
So the algorithm that is used to make new Bitcoins It's called the blockchain, and the blockchain is the record of every transaction that's ever been made.
Right.
But it doesn't have any identifying information in it besides the account numbers. And there's no master list of who owns what account number. So that's what makes it anonymous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, all right. Here's the question, David. Have you ever mined for a Bitcoin, and how did it go?
Absolutely. I bought some specialized USB hardware to mine Bitcoins.
USB.
Yes. There's just...
Universal Serial Bus.
I'm very impressed that you actually know that.
Thank you.
But yeah, they're just these little things. They look like little USB drives.
Uh-huh.
They have giant heat sinks on them, and you plug them in and you configure it. It's not very user friendly, I'll be honest. They're not very high powered by today's standards because, as I mentioned, the blockchain gets more difficult as time goes on.
Yeah.
And so I have just some fractions of Bitcoin that I've mined. I've mined some other cryptocurrencies, which is the all-encompassing term for other things that are like Bitcoin.
Oh, so they're Bitcoin competitors.
Yes.
I did not know those existed.
Yes. There's hundreds.
Wow. This shows I'm really not into the underground. I'm a good guy. What's that say about you, David?
I try to know
Clint brought
everything.
up a fiat just a minute ago. What are you talking about?
Fiat currency man over here.
Who am I hanging out with in this studio? I feel like I should go. All right, so you've mined fractions of Bitcoins. What are those worth? Fractions of a Bitcoin or what?
I think they're worth maybe like $40 or $50.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge investment for me. It's mostly I wanted to know how it worked. I wanted to know the technology behind it, understand it. So when people ask me questions about it, I can learn about it.
Yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, do you how can you transact with those fractions of a Bitcoin? Do you have to compile that with the other people who successfully mined the remainder of the Bitcoin, or is it worth? I'm asking, how can you actually spend that, and is it worth anything to you?
So there are these specialized online banks or like cryptocurrency repositories. Some of them are they're called mining pools, where many different people will use their computer resources all together to mine for a single Bitcoin, and then the value of that Bitcoin gets split up in between all the people who helped based on how much time and how quickly they were able to process things.
Yeah, okay.
And so that's how I got my fractions of a Bitcoin that are worth not a whole lot. And I haven't honestly tried to spend them on anything. I just have them. Maybe the value will go up enough to make it valuable for me to get them out.
Makes sense to me. So what's a competitor to a Bitcoin? You said there's hundreds.
Yes. The biggest ones are going to be like Litecoin, Namecoin, Ethereum, Doji, which is kind of a satirical cryptocurrency.
Satirical cryptocurrency.
Yes.
I've never heard that phrase before.
The rabbit hole goes deep on that one. Don't even bother Googling it. It's not worth your time.
Very good.
But the biggest ones are going to be like Bitcoin, Litecoin, and then the newcomer Ethereum, which is more of it allows you to do more complicated processes, and it acts a lot more like a neutral third party in order to guarantee that a transaction has been made in the real world. What in the world does that mean? That sounds crazy.
No, you're good. I'm just asking.
Let me think of a good example. It would be if I have a algorithm that I need solved and I want to pay someone money to use their network to do it, I can pay them in Ethereum.
Okay.
And then they decide whether they want to take that on or not and use up their computers and their time and their processing cycles. And if they choose to do it, then they get paid.
Could you not pay them in Bitcoin?
You can move Bitcoin into Ethereum and Ethereum into Bitcoin. Most of the cryptocurrencies, you can go from one to the other.
Okay.
But Bitcoin is the most widely used that you can exchange into real-world things such as U.S. dollars, British pounds, or actual gold.
Okay. Do you ever see this going mainstream?
Eventually, yes. It's a steep climb. It is incredibly useful for what it is. Most people won't ever use it. it's the same reason why most people don't, trade on the stock market themselves. Like no one is going to go down to the New York Stock Exchange and start buying, options on, commodities. That's just not going to happen. Because it's technical, it's complicated. You have to know what you're doing. And so until it becomes more mainstream, I would suggest, learn about it, but maybe don't jump into it.
Yeah, but the stock exchange, even if we don't directly partake in it, it certainly has an effect on our lives. Could this potentially have that same sort of effect?
Absolutely. And in the same way that the stock market started out really slow and then, slowly became more and more important for our economy, these types of cryptocurrencies, and especially the ones that run the algorithms in the background and do these more complicated processes in the background for what they do, are going to be worth more and more moving forward. And our worldwide currency markets and other markets will become more entwined with this as we move forward.
So David, can you tell me, how does this fit into the U.S. government in our daily lives now in terms of legality and regulation? Because this sounds very free market, and so I instantly think that people are going to oppose this just because the U.S. government doesn't have their eyes on it. Sorry to sound like one of those guys, but I just
no, that's okay.
I know how this stuff goes.
You are one of those guys, so thank you for being honest.
Thank you for holding up that mirror, and now I know who I am.
So there is a lot of regulation that makes it difficult for you to move a Bitcoin into U.S. dollars. It is popular for people who want to be more free, and not have all of the regulation, all of the restrictions, all of the people knowing what you bought and who you bought it from, and how much it cost. But at the same time, most of the major banking systems, most of the major currency markets are starting to rely more on the same technology that backs Bitcoin because it is reliable and it's very difficult to hack, which is a really important facet of our financial markets.
Yeah, what was it? It came out yesterday or the day before. What was that?
Equifax.
Equifax, yeah.
Yeah.
They were hacked.
Yep.
That's not good.
It's really bad.
Yeah. Good luck.
134 million people heavily compromised.
I think it may have been one of them.
Me too.
Not entirely sure, but I think.
Yeah, I got calls today.
You did?
I did.
Wow. From who? Equifax?
Unknown caller.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been compromised, buddy.
I think that was Dave.
Guilty. Hashtag guilty. Very good. Clint, you got any more questions, dude? Any more free market, burning the government down questions?
That's a deep well, Dave. Thanks for setting me up with that one.
Just asking.
We'll edit this out because I don't think I did.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry to put you on the spot. I'm about to close.
Ask me anything. The topic is yours.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot. I have so many, but I don't know what to...
Just ask anything, and I'll just go with it.
I know. I'm trying to think of what...
I mean, I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No.
But I think it's good
fine.
content.
Yeah.
You ask good questions.
Shoot. No, I don't know. Sorry. We'll...
Can you buy an AR-15 with Bitcoin?
You should ask a
Maybe.
question. You should ask a question.
I've had several, though. I don't know what to ask.
Okay.
There are no dumb questions, only wrong answers.
Yeah. We'll get both with this golden nugget here.
I had something, but I didn't write it down.
Oh,
It's cool. Dave, anything you think we should ask you? In fact, that'll be our closing question.
do I?
If the answer is no, just reply no.
Nothing I can think of offhand.
Okay.
See, that's the thing about this technology is that it's going to be so pervasive and so important, but it's not yet.
Yeah.
But it will be.
Yeah, okay.
And the technology will be used for more than just the financial markets. Anytime there's any exchange of information that needs to be guaranteed or honest.
I got one.
Okay.
Yeah, David, so you were talking about how safe this currency is, but I think I read something several years ago about there being a hack or a breach of some kind. You know anything about that?
Yeah, so there have been a few like really high-profile hacks or breaches of some of the different cryptocurrencies. Even just a couple of months ago, Ethereum had a huge hack where a company had a IPO, and they were having people buy the stock in Ethereum.
Huh.
And they messed up. They hired somebody who was dishonest and had access to the back end of their website and changed the account that the money was being deposited into, and he made off with like $4 or $5 million.
Wait a minute. You're saying that somebody is dishonest and also associated with cryptocurrencies? That just doesn't add up, David.
I know. And so the actual currency itself was not hacked. The website that this particular company had set up was hacked.
Yeah, crazy.
So, and that's kind of what you'll hear with these different things is like one of the big exchange online websites for Bitcoin was hacked. And it was something like tens or hundreds of millions of dollars was stolen. But it wasn't that the actual blockchain was compromised. It's that their website was compromised.
Gotcha.
So the currency itself has never been manipulated, but maybe the peripheral stuff to the currency has.
To my knowledge, that is correct.
Very good.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, good question, Clint. Thank you. What have I now to ask you, Dave? Anything else you want to part with? Any words of wisdom?
This is a really technical subject. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know. Some of this stuff is technical to a point of absurdity, and that no one actually needs to know.
Yeah.
So, but for the most part, just be aware of cryptocurrency, what it is, what it's used for. So when you hear it, you can kind of have an idea about it. Because I think moving forward, we're going to hear a lot more about the technology that it uses.
I remember when AOL dial-up was foreign to most people, and who would have thought?
Yeah.
The internet was a very real and very important thing. So, David, thank you so much for being here, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we had a good time. David Harden, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come right back with a mailbag, and we'll close things out.
You have chosen the Topic Is Yours podcast,
What's your favorite kind of melon?
your source for sophisticated conversation
The most rudimentary machine is probably going to be better than me, but...
for the discerning listener
All right, anyway, this is awkward and weird.
and thought-provoking questions
Kristen Chenoweth, hot or not?
that will enlighten the listener's perspective.
Is it kind of like going back in time in a way? I mean...
Kind of, but it's like going into the future.
Good day.
We're gonna open the mailbag. We're gonna check some mail. Mail time.
Welcome back. Time for the mailbag. Thank you, David. Appreciate you, buddy. Clint, what do we got this week, dude?
Mail time?
Mail time. It's mail time, everybody.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Eric.
Eric killed it in a good way.
Okay, so reaching into the mailbag this week, we've got a question that was emailed in from the website. Somebody wants to know what's the worst thing you did that you got in trouble for while you were in school.
Oh, man, dude.
Been a bad boy.
You know, I was a pretty good kid. I really was. My problem was I never did homework or tried or succeeded at anything I attempted. So my biggest problems were just being grounded for like terrible grades. You know, I wish I had a cooler story like, hey, I stole a car and I ran over hit a cop. You know, well, that sounds terrible, doesn't it?
You wish you would have hit a cop.
Well, no, that would have been bad too. Oh gosh, no, wow. Okay, dude, This just reminded me of something.
Let's do it.
Okay, this is big time.
You
All
did
right.
hit a cop.
No. All right, so this is Martin Luther King Day.
Oh no.
I was off school, and I forget the year, but I was in middle school, so I would have been in like probably 7th or 8th grade. Middle school, day off school, so it was a Monday. The Sunday night, my best friend came over, And my best friend was a great guy, but he had inherited from his father a really, really cool set of BB guns. Super cool.
I love where this is going.
And so our plan was, all right, dude, you've got the pistol, and this pistol shoots pellets, and I've got the rifle with the scope, which just shoots BBs. But we're gonna just shoot these tomorrow. Now I grew up in the suburbs of Kansas City, fairly crowded area, a lot of police presence, and the particular neighborhood where I grew up in, there was a lot of elderly folks. Actually, a Holocaust survivor as well. I used to shovel her driveway during the snow. How about that?
Oh, survivor.
She was a sweetie. Miss Warshowski. Dear lady. Anyway, and so the following morning, after our Fruity Pebbles and just watching some TV, my buddy and I started shooting at the street light with a pistol in our neighborhood. And lo and behold, one of us, I think it was him. I couldn't hit anything. He shot the street light and just completely shattered it. And this was like one of those, not like a little lamp. This was a tall pole, like several feet in the air. And it shook the entire thing all the way down to its base. And I was like, dude, I can't believe you did that. Let's go inside now and watch a movie because we're off school. And so we did. Totally forgot about it. A few minutes later, there was a ding-dong on the doorbell. And I was like, yeah, who cares? It's just, who cares? We're not answering it. The ding-dong kept persisting, and then my buddy, he will remain nameless. He looked outside, and he said, Dave, there are 2 cop cars on the road. I was like, really? And so immediately I went upstairs. I took so the pellets are totally illegal. So I threw the pellets in an obscure area. I put the pistol in one, and I put the rifle in another. And we went down. So I slept upstairs. I had upstairs. And we went downstairs to the basement, and I shut the door. That was a mistake.
You barricaded yourself in is what you're telling me.
I did. Okay. I did. That was a big mistake because when I shut that door, I did not know that my house was surrounded by cops at that moment. And what he saw me, one moment he told me this later. One moment he looked in and saw the basement door open. Another moment he looked in and saw it closed. So they thought they were dealing with some psychos. They entered into my home forcefully. The doors were locked. Everything was closed.
Oh my God.
They burst into the house. They yelled. It was like an episode of Cops, like, police, get out on the phone, just yelling all this stuff. Meanwhile, I just peed myself. And we go upstairs with our hands up. And as I opened the door, exiting the basement, it entered into my kitchen. 2 cops were there with pistols drawn, pointed right at my chest. And then, and my dog, I think she had fainted or something out of fear. A 3rd cop was searching the house, simultaneously, just looking for another bad guy. Anyway, we both came up. It was scary. I mean, you can imagine. I was if I was in 8th grade, I would have been 13 years old, 12 years old, something like that. They frisked us. They cuffed us. They took us downtown, in quotes. I had my mug shot taken.
Oh, my gosh.
They asked why we weren't in school. I was like, it's a little thing called Martin Luther King Day. No kids are in school today. Where's your, are you racist or what? Come on, guys. That didn't work out too well. No, I didn't do that at all. My dad had to leave work, come down and get me. And that was the scariest moment ever, being picked up from the... And you remember that program, Dare? Did you guys do that?
Sure.
My Dare... Well, you probably didn't because you... I paid attention to Dare. My Dare officer, Dare to keep kids off drugs, he saw me there and he was just hanging his head in disgust and just overall shame at me misbehaving. And anyway... Long story short, they did not press charges. They said that they would. They said I was going to prison. They said I was going to need a lawyer, all that sort of stuff. It did not happen. I did not get really in trouble for that because it was so traumatic in its own way, for not only for myself but for my parents. That was just an overall, just like, holy cow, this is the worst day ever. And one fact I omitted from this story is prior to...
It gets worse.
It does. Prior to this event, so Martin Luther King, it's in the wintertime, my dad and I had been hunting for like squirrels or ducks or whatever, pretty much whatever would move. That's the way I looked at it. And after that event, he had all his shotguns out on the workbench downstairs in the basement and for cleaning and stuff. And he also reshelled. My dad is not a redneck at all, but he really just wanted to just do this for fun. So when they went down and saw the basement, they saw all these guns laid out, all this reshelling equipment, and they really got scared and thought that we were just, I mean, it was just bad all the way around. So so that coupled with my overall just the fact that I never paid attention and just general bad grades, but incredible intellect, obviously. That was a bad experience. So kids, don't shoot guns. That's the lesson. Especially if you live in a metropolitan area, don't shoot guns.
Who called it in? Was it the old lady, the survivor?
It might have been Warshawski.
Oh.
I may have, charged a double the past weekend on her shoveling. I don't know. I don't know who it was. I never found out. They wouldn't tell me. I asked. They wouldn't tell me. So,
Dave,
dude,
I'm in awe.
I'm gonna go. I feel like I should go home and cower in the closet. I'm scared now. It's all. It's all coming back to me.
That story was amazing,
and it's all true.
I didn't know you had it in you, man.
Yeah. I've been a good boy ever since.
Let's end this show on a high note. Will it? Way to go, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you, Clint. Thanks again for David Harden. What a tech guy. Good one. Very, very good one. This is a good show, as always. So stick around for us next week. We'll be back here on Monday. Until then, this is Clint and Dave signing out. See you next time. 2 cops were there with pistols drawn, pointed right at my chest.